So after they leave the individual pens, they stay here for a while, and then they are relocated to the group area, where they have access to the machines.
I see. And what is that canister doing over there in the corner?
It's feeding. That's the machine, the automatic feeder. This is a repurposed structure. It used to be an old pigsty, so we adapted it to our reality.
Welcome everyone to the Santa Fe Agroinstituto channel. Vinicius, where are we? What place is this?
This is the calf barn, Jesse. This is where the farm's young ones are kept.
So, this is where everything begins in the life of the cow. Why is this place important to you? What changes later in her life based on what happens here?
This is where her life begins. If we experience episodes of diarrhea or pneumonia here, it will compromise the cow's productive performance later on. If the calf goes through some episodes of diarrhea, there are studies showing a negative impact on her production once she becomes a cow, so this place is crucial. At this stage, she needs to be well cared for, well fed, and provided with comfort.
Diarrhea is something that can't be completely eliminated, but it can be reduced.
Absolutely.
What have you observed and what measures have you implemented to reduce the number of animals with diarrhea?
Well, it's all about doing the basics well. Providing the calf with high-quality colostrum and properly disinfecting the navel are essential steps that start right after birth. When the calf is born, it's weighed, and we calculate 10% of its body weight in colostrum. For example, a calf born weighing 40 kilograms receives 4 liters of colostrum. The colostrum we use here is tested using a refractometer to evaluate the IgG level. We do not provide colostrum with less than 25% Brix to our calves. The calves ingest colostrum with more than 25% IgG. For colostrum below that level, we enrich it with powdered colostrum. We also take care of the navel, disinfecting it daily for 3 to 5 days post-birth until it completely dries up and falls off.
Great. There's an interesting section in this book that talks about recommendations for feeding calves, and you can see what Vinicius just mentioned here. What Vinicius just explained is right here, isn't it, Vinicius? They use this equipment to assess colostrum quality. This farm also has automatic calf feeders, which we'll see later. How was it when you decided to acquire these feeders?
We faced a challenge because we had a large number of animals, and bottle feeding them throughout the entire lactation cycle became very demanding and exhausting. So we adopted this collective rearing system for its practicality. We register the calves with an identifier, and the machine itself regulates the increase and decrease of milk during these 90 days that they are fed.
I see. So this is where it all begins. They may look the same now, but their production will vary later if something is done incorrectly here.
Exactly, and even for the calf's development, for instance, if we have severe cases of diarrhea caused by coronavirus or rotavirus, it can reduce the intestinal cells, and then the cow or calf will absorb less of the food she consumes. These are some harmful effects resulting from diarrhea.
What is important to have in this environment for them?
Here they have access to water, a bit of feed to get familiar with the food, and a dry bed. We also place a fabric to keep it from getting too cold because as newborns, they are still developing their immune systems. So they need some comfort. They can't be too cold or too hot.
I see. So they start adapting to the food here, have water available at all times, and the bedding needs to be dry, right?
Yes, the environment needs to be dry. They stay here for 7 to 10 days, and then they move to another individual pen before joining the group.
I see. So they stay here for 7 to 10 days and then move to the other side. Let's go check out the other part. So, Vinicius, what is this area here?
So after they leave the individual pens, they stay here for a while, and then they are relocated to the group area, where they have access to the machines.
I see. So it's a process. They start there, come here, and what work is done with them here?
Here, they undergo regular feeding. They are given milk, water, and feed. It's the same as what happens down there.
The same thing that happens down there is done here. And after that, they leave here and move to the group area. It's important for them to go through this process here as well, right? Yes. What impact does the group phase have on them?
What happens is that we keep them in individual pens until they reach a certain size so they can compete here. Because here, they will be with other calves that are a bit older. So they will have to go to the machine on their own, feed themselves, drink milk, and engage in normal competition.
I see. And what is that canister doing over there in the corner?
It's feeding. That's the machine, the automatic feeder.
That's the automatic feeder, and when it feels hungry, it goes there?
Exactly. Free access. Whenever it feels like feeding, it goes to the machine. The machine recognizes the animal by the tag, and depending on its age, it adjusts the amount of milk provided each day.
I see. So what you mentioned about the identification tag or chip is also used here for the machine to identify the animal, and then it releases the milk according to the animal's size. It knows that this one needs more milk and that one needs less milk, right?
Yes.
That's what it does. What challenges did you face years ago with the calf barn, and what did you notice that could have been preventing you from achieving the production levels you have today?
Well, regarding calf rearing, it's crucial to have proper rearing with consistent management practices because anything they suffer here will impact them later as future cows, right? So, if they go through an episode of diarrhea, it will result in reduced production later on, slower development, and consequently, we will have to breed this heifer later, increasing the age at first calving, which results in a lower financial return and higher costs.
There are a lot of details, because this is your investment, you're starting the process, and if the beginning goes wrong, you'll feel the consequences later on. So this is a place that needs attention and staff training as well. How is the cleaning of the equipment, the bottles handled here?
At all times, they receive 2 feedings a day, those in individual pens in the morning and in the afternoon. After the milk is provided, the bottles are cleaned with hot water and left to drain. Those are the bottles for the milk barn.
I see. That's excellent. That's excellent because, folks, you can see that everything has a process, and each process has its details. Every time you skip a step or don't do it properly, you'll feel it later on. As you mentioned before, the animal responds immediately, but here it takes a little longer. You don't see the drop in milk production right away because this is just the beginning. So every bit of care is crucial, and the access to water and food that you have here is important. If these animals miss a meal for a day, what happens?
Oh, then we lose performance. The staff here does monthly weighing, so we monitor their weight gain. If there's a lack or deprivation of food, they won't convert it into weight. So there will be a decrease in their development.
And is weight the main goal at this moment?
Yes, they need to grow and gain weight.
They need to grow and gain weight. Excellent. She leaves here, comes over here, and what's over there?
Until 40 days of age, the calf stays here. After 40 days, they go to another paddock. Why? If we mix these 2 groups, the older group will overpower this one, so these younger calves would face a lot of competition and struggle. So we separate them by age and weight to better manage access to the feeders.
I see. Is the rearing done here or elsewhere?
No, we do it on another farm.
Oh, cool. So the rearing is done on another farm. What difference has that made for you? Why did you decide to do that?
It was mainly due to space, we leased another farm that already had a barn, and it used to operate as a dairy farm. We decided to move the rearing animals there to have better control. Today, the entire rearing process is also done in confinement.
I see. Vinicius, what happens here? What are these coolers, and what's the process here?
So the machine heats the milk. It has a coil that warms the milk. When the milk arrives, it is stored in these coolers at around 4 degrees Celsius. Then, as the calf approaches, the machine recognizes the calf and it starts the milk intake process. The machine draws the milk from the coolers at 4 degrees, passes it through the coil, heats it up to around 36 degrees, and only then does the calf drink the milk.
Folks, now we're going to talk a little bit about the farm's future projects, what Vinicius, along with the owners and the farm team, are planning. There are always things that need improvement, as on any farm, and to go from 24 to 30 or 40,000 liters of milk per day, some changes will need to be made. What are you thinking? What are your ideas?
Exactly, Jesse. We noticed a challenge with the current calf barn structure we have. So, our next project is to invest in an adequate calf barn. We plan to build a new structure, a barn with a higher ceiling, and redesign the logistics of this calf barn. Since we've already invested in barns for the cows and a carousel milking system, now we're going to invest in a calf barn as well.
I see. What was here before?
This is a repurposed structure. It used to be an old pigsty. We adapted it to our reality. Of course, there are things that need improvement, so we're already thinking about this new investment to continually improve the rearing of calves, to allow them to express even more of their genetic potential.
So, for those of you on the other side, many times people want to build a lot, but you can reuse things. A lot here was repurposed, and it works, it's functional, it solves the problem. Do you plan to move this to another location, or will it stay here?
No, we're going to move. We're planning to move to another part of the farm for logistical reasons. Today, we want to place the calf barn closer to the prepartum area so that the transportation of the newborn calves is not so harsh. So we want to move the calf straight from the prepartum pen to the maternity area.
Why is that important? What impact does this logistics change have on the animal's life, considering that you're saying it's not yet adequate?
Well, today we place the newborn calf in a wooden pen with some straw, but there's a risk of injury as it moves from the prepartum area to here. The time after birth before receiving colostrum is crucial. The longer the time since birth before the calf ingests colostrum, the worse it is. Why? Because when the calf starts absorbing the immunoglobulins from the colostrum to build its immunity, if it takes more than 3 to 4 hours, the intestines start closing and then it won't absorb them effectively. So we want the calf barn to be closer so that within 2 to 3 hours of birth, the calf receives colostrum. Its navel is treated, which will result in less diarrhea, less pneumonia, and overall better development for the calf.
I see. So when the calf is born, the priority is to give it colostrum, and if the farm doesn't have efficient logistics, this might be delayed. So your future project is to make this closer to the prepartum area, which is very interesting. Is it possible to show people where the prepartum area is today?
Yes, from here you can see the roof of the barn. The prepartum area is over there. The calves are brought here to the calf barn after they're born.
I see. Vinicius, if the person in charge doesn't understand the importance of colostrum administration after birth, they can't make a decision like this.
Exactly.
They can't think that this is impacting the animal. So, if you haven't studied colostrum administration prepartum, postpartum, or don't understand the process, check out our videos, our materials, the classes with Dr. Hutchins, the classes we have at Santa Fe. I'm sure any doubts you have will be cleared up. You'll find content that will meet your needs. And now the challenge is for you to show us how you clean your equipment. We want to see how you clean the bottles for these animals, what the bedding is like for them, so that others can learn as well. So post, share on social media, tag Santa Fe, send it to us, and we'll repost it. This will be interesting. It will give ideas to other producers and also show what really matters. As Vinicius said, it's about doing the basics well. Agreed? A big hug, and see you in the next video.